We're ready.
All right. Greenville City Council will call this meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Schmidt.
Here.
Whitaker.
Here.
Brown.
Here.
Ewing. Here. Godwin.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Rogers.
Here. All right, let's all please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of the minutes. You should have all received a copy of the minutes. Any additions or corrections? If not, they'll stand approved. Approval of the current financial report. You should have received a copy of the financial report. Need a motion to approve that. So move. Motion by Mr. Whitaker to approve the financial report. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ewing. Yes. Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes. Approval of the agenda. As far as I'm aware at this time, there's nothing to add. Need a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Motion by Mr. Brown to approve the agenda. Discussion? Call the roll.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Whitaker.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Ewing. Yes. Godwin.
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes. Moving on to public hearing, we have one item that we're going to go through first tonight. It's reviewing the implementing of trash pickup in the system in the city of Greenville. So I'll open up the mic. When you come to the podium, please state your name and address for the record and.
Tracy Tryon, 600 Treeway, Greenville, Ohio. Again, I come to you to speak opposing the city taking over the city trash. Currently, the way it stands, I realize that there are calls that come into the city building, maybe with complaints about Rumpke, but you know, that is their business. That's you know, refer them to Rumpke or whoever the contract would go to. You know, I was a big proponent against Rumpke back in the 90s when we were first starting this out and making the transition from city trash pickup to a contract out. But over the years, they, you know, that's their business. They do it well. The cost that the city is going to have to incur, to me, is not worth the risk. You know, you've got to purchase 2 or 3 trucks, and then what happens when one breaks down? You've got to hire 3 or 4 individuals, you know, because you're going to have when people are off and for sickness or vacations, you know, there's a lot of expense there. You got the upstart cost of buying the recyclable containers. You got the cost of the trash waste haulers that go down the curb. But what's worse is that you're doing away with the bags. This is an aging population in the city of Greenville. And there are a lot of individuals like myself that, and by myself, I can't fill a Rumpke waste bag in a month. Why would I want to pay for even a small curbside trash hauler? You know, it's a waste of my money. I questioned the city council when we went from the minimum contract for water last year and the monthly billing, you know, but I understood the process, but I can't stand for this. The other thing is, I know I spoke a few weeks ago, and since then, I've had people stopping me and thanking me for coming up and sticking up for them. Some people I didn't even think liked me, and they were coming up and patting me on the back. And, you know, that was a good feeling. I think you can tell by the crowd here this evening and probably calls that you've received that this is not a popular subject. You know, it's something that you are starting to look at, maybe possibly mandating on us. I don't think that's going to go over well in the city of Greenville, and I hope that you really consider it with all utmost care. But again, Rumpke or Bestway or whomever you contract with, That is their livelihood. Let them do it. You're still going to have to pay the fees to go through the transfer station. You know, what's it going to do to our insurance? Because you got to get those trucks going up and down some of these tight alleys. You know, I just think you open up a can of worms. So I hope you really consider it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jana Dieter and I live at 303 East Harmon. And like Tracy, I too got stopped quite a bit after they said they saw it in the paper. I didn't really read the article, but this is some of the things that they brought to my attention. And I have to agree with some of the people and what they said. Why were we being compared to Troy? Well, there is no way that we are the same size as Troy. I go shopping in Troy because there's so much more businesses there. So when it said they liked the trash pickup and the way Troy did it, well, how can you put Greenville and Troy in the same sentence? It's just, there is no comparison. When it got said that they thought this may stop the people from dumping in the park, well, I used to pick up trash in the park and I still do that from time to time. And we used to go through that trash to figure out who was throwing trash in there. And believe it or not, it wasn't mostly the people or the citizens of Greenville. It was from Union City. It was from out of the county. And Deb, who used to work for the park, would actually try to get information and then get a hold of the people. So I think that in itself, it's not going to stop it. Those people are still going to come and dump things in the park. I know somebody who did get caught dumping trash in there one time and they had a $75 fee. So if you want to nail the people, just look on your cameras because that's going to show you. I've actually said something to some people down there. You're not allowed to be doing this and whatever. But I did have several people tell me that they only have a Walmart bag full of trash. I'm the same way. So you want me to take a medium-sized rolly bin, store it, wash it? I live by myself. That is going to be such a harassment to me. And I can't even imagine the elderly having to deal with this. And when I was up here before many years ago dealing with this thing with Rumpkeys and rolly bins, they said, well, get a neighbor. Well, you can't always depend on your neighbors. They've got their own lives to live. So you have to try to figure things out on your own. So when it was mentioned at this meeting a few weeks ago that they were going to say we needed a medium-sized trash can, I'd rather buy a trash bag or I'd rather buy stickers. Let me go out and buy my own trash bags because I don't need a rolly bin to deal with. I don't want critters crawling it in and whatever else. So I hope that the council will consider the fact that we all don't come from the same cookie mold, that there's a lot of, this is a retirement town, not a yuppie town. In fact, when I had been up here the last time, I went to Myers the next day to go shopping. And I brought up to the cashier, I said, boy, I wish we had a Myers in Greenville. And she said, you would kill our business. I said, what are you saying? She says, we get a lot of people from Greenville over here. So I knew that a lot of people were shopping over there and I make a day of it. I hit all around Troy and then I get on the interstate and I go to Piqua. So there's no way we are Troy. And I don't even know if we're even Piqua. So please consider who lives in this town and whether it's really going to be beneficial. Because sure, it would be nice to have a truck with a claw on it. And, that's one of the higher end models. But the cost of it, our water bills just went up and they're still going up. So, and then the price of gas, thank goodness it's coming down a little bit. But, take all that in consideration. So I hope you will think about that. And while I'm up here, I guess I can go ahead and address this. I got approached by somebody in the city who wants to know if the city or the park or somebody that would be interested, they have over 30 blow molds. They have a lighted deer and all kinds of things, and they want to get rid of them. Now, if the city is interested, then I can get the information back to them. If the park is interested, I can get back to them. But if they're not interested, then I will approach Union City, or I will approach Bradford, or I will approach Arcanum, who are trying to do something in their towns at Christmas time. So, but this person came to me and said, hey, you go to those meetings, will you ask? So I'm laying this before you guys. If you guys are interested, I will get the message back to them and they will save them, but they need to know within the next 15 days or so. So just let me know. Thank you.
If I may, we are interested.
You are interested.
Absolutely.
You'll take them all?
Yes.
I will get the message back.
Thank you.
You have Christmas lights around.
Mr. Christmas.
Scott Everhart, 404 Wild Rose. I totally agree with everything that Tracy said. You guys are opening yourselves up to a big can of worms liability wise when you put those trucks out on the road. I mean, Rumpke has been around for a long time. And I don't know anybody at Rumpke. Only I don't even know the name of the guy that picks up my trash, but he's a super nice guy. I have no problems with Rumpke. I got an address on a different street. I've got the big dumpster over there. I have no problem with what they charge quarterly for that. Now, where I live, I use white bags. Now, I've only been there, I've been back in Greenville for 20 years. I graduated from Greenville, moved back to Greenville 20 years ago. But the house, the property that where I live now, I've had for 45 years. Now, don't ask me what we did 45 years ago, but I don't remember. But I do remember that ever since these white bags came about, that's what we've used. We've got one-car garages over there. And my garage is actually bigger than some of them on Berkshire, the condos, where there's some of those are one-car garages. You got about this much room on the driver's side. You got no room on the other side. I wouldn't want the container if you gave it to me. Where I live, I use white bags. It's a double where I live. The other side uses white bags too. We have since they came about. Single people, the senior citizens, how much trash do you think they accumulate? A white bag will last 3 to 4 weeks. I recycle. I use the red container. I take the plastic bags to Kroger's. I take the bottle caps, the Dark County solid waste. We don't generate that much trash, one person, that is, with one person. And bottom line is, I think you're opening yourself up to a can of worms. The workers' comp, this is, unless you totally change the way that this stuff's going to get done. Now, I've been told that Rumpke, and number one, I haven't talked to Rumpke, but nobody likes the trash bags. Nobody likes the guy getting out and putting the dumpster on the back of the truck. Well, I can tell you this, where I used to live is an automated route. Those are great, except when the wind's blowing. Now, Rumpke's asked people to try to put stuff in bags before they put it in the dumpsters. You think everybody follows what Rumpke asked? No, they don't. They don't want you to put recyclables in plastic bags in the red things. I see it every week. I walk out my door, I'm standing out in my driveway. There's a double across the street and a house on the corner. I'm already looking at 3 big trash dumpsters and 2 red things. Now, 2 of these are big garages. They don't even put them inside their garages. You want them all over town? But bottom line too is I cannot understand why in a small town like this, I consider it a small town, why we would want government in that part of our life. Pay our taxes, we pay the water bill. I am 110% against that. I don't own 140 rentals either, by the way. I don't know what you do there. And I don't know what you think about doing when you've got a 20-unit rental building. I talked to a person who lives in one of those today behind the high school. Perfectly happy. Take their trash out, put it in a dumpster that's supplied. You're going to supply dumpsters, everything? Those take different trucks for those. And I can sympathize with Ryan, right? I can sympathize. Nobody likes to have a complaint, but I can tell you from what I've seen in the city of Greenville, if somebody was going to complain, it'd be Rumpke complaining about what they run into on their trash routes. 2 calls a week, at least that's what I read in the paper. That's nothing. That's nothing. You think the calls would go away if Greenville's running the show? I mean, look at our streets, look at our curbs. If we've got that kind of money, why don't you kick in and money, hire a contractor to do some of the sidewalks? Don't make the owners pay 100%. Spend some of that money that way. I don't get it. I mean, I hear a lot of complaints, but these people don't come up here. I don't like coming. I've never been here. You know, if they complain, I talked to a guy today complaining over there off of, I think it's Martin Street, up to the houses to the south there, about somebody that's complaining about weeds in the lot. You see it right across from Frying Company, grass like this. Man, there's a lot in Greenville that needs to be corrected. We don't need to be in the trash business. Government doesn't need to be any further in my life. I can tell you that right now. I'm happy to pay my taxes here. They're very reasonable. I got no problem. I got no problem paying Rumpke. And I think they do a fantastic job. I'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak on this portion?
I'm Thomas Marsh at 101 Bittersweet. And I agree with these other fellows here that Greenville does not need to get in the trash business. Let Rumpke do it because we already have enough expenses here, the water bill, and those kind of things. And like the guy mentioned about the complaints, you're going to get overloaded with complaints and responsibility. And I'm 100% against the city being involved in the trash business. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Archbishop Lee Bowling. I reside at 527 Marquith, and I'm a little different on this issue. I constantly throughout the day meet people throughout the city, and we have talked on this very issue many of times, whether it be in the office, whether it be in the church or out in the community. It is my understanding that there is a lot of people that is upset with Rumpke, the 6 and 7 o'clock pickups, and it wakes them up. I personally, when I lived on Hiddison, constantly heard them at 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning, which is very early, and those trucks can make very loud noise. We are so blessed in this city to have such good leadership as we do. And I do believe that you all are looking out for the best interest of the people. And you should be condoned and respected for that. I understand that when you do something like this, it doesn't matter who you are or where you are or what project you're doing. There's going to always be pros and there's always going to be cons. There's always kinks to work out in any situation, no matter what you do. But I will tell you this, that it would create jobs for our city. Number two, I believe that it would allow oversight of the trash pickup, because the city really should have oversight. And the way it is right now, some of the workers does not, some of them takes pride in their job. Don't get me wrong. But I have also seen some of them that does not take so well pride in their job, and they just want to get it on the truck and get home, because regardless, they're getting paid just the same. And it just improves the liability of our neighborhoods. I really think that our back lots in some of these areas needs to be cleaned up, and it holds everyone accountable. You know, a lot of us, we don't like the word accountability, but that's what we need. Each and every one of us, we need people to hold us accountable. And I think with the trash going through the city would hold us accountable. Everybody has a water bill and everybody has trash. So the question becomes, what are we going to do with that trash? You know, so I really think that it is something that would spruce up the neighborhoods, and we would stop the illegal dumping. We would stop all of the unnecessarily piling it up in buildings and different places. And I just think overall that this would be a successful program. I understand that you got to spend money and sometimes you got to invest in order to bring about the change or program that you want to do. And like I said, I understand that there are a lot of single folks out there that this may not cater to. And perhaps that is something that we need to look at. But also we need to realize that the city is going to do a contract with Rumpke here in a couple years. And the question is, isn't it 7% increase that we're looking at for the new bill? I mean, so that's going to up the price there. So we're talking about price and we're talking about, you know, all of that, but yet we're not looking at what the new contract is going to cost the city of Greenville if they redid this. And personally, I have tried many a times to get a hold of Rumpke, and I'm going to tell you what, sometimes I'm on the phone for 30 minutes on hold. And that is no lie, folks. So, you know, I just think that the city having control over it, it creates jobs, it increases our neighborhoods and spruces them up, and it holds everyone accountable. And, you know, overall, you know, what is the best cost? Is Rumpke the better cost, or is the city taking on the project? You know, and I think when you weigh out everything, I think it is best for the city. So I would encourage the city and thankful for the city's leadership. And I would encourage you to vote in favor of this and to move our city forward and to hold everyone accountable. And that a way that we all are getting rid of our trash the legal way instead of just putting wherever. And like I said, I talked to many people, and I just think overall people that I talked to on my side is in favor for it. A few of the folks was not. And, you know, it was kind of the concerns that they mentioned, you know, they're single, they don't use that much trash. And maybe that's something that we need to look at. But I also think that when you look at the increase and everything else with Rumpke, I think the city should have it. It'd be easier to call the maintenance department and talk with them than having to address Rumpke and stay on hold for 30 minutes, because I don't know about anybody else, but my time's valuable. I have a lot to do within the day. I have a lot that needs to be accomplished. So overall, with the parishioners and the people that I meet inside and outside of the church, and I meet a lot of people, let me tell you, I just feel that most people are for it, and they think that the city is looking after our best interest. So I salute each of you, and also understand that there is a lot of kinks that will need to be worked out, you know, with the singles or whatnot. But that's kind of my comments about it. God bless.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on this issue? Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close this portion of the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and speak on any other issues? If not, we'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to administrative reports. Mr. Baumgartner is filling in for the mayor this evening. I don't know if you have anything to report, but the floor is yours.
I have nothing.
Okay. We'll move on to Safety Service Director, Mr. Delk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Quite a few things for this evening, actually. Couple in our police department, Matthew Prickett will be sworn in on the 27th as our next sergeant. He was our top test taker for the sergeant position, so he'll be filling in there. He comes with a lot of law enforcement experience, and he's been with our police force for quite some time now. So we welcome Sergeant Prickett into that new role. Matthew Ganaron is a new police officer that is also being sworn in on the 27th. He is new to the law enforcement field, so we have to send him to Edison to go through the police academy, which is a long process. But he has roots here in Greenville, so we're excited to get him and hopefully get him to stay here and finish his career after we put all this time and effort into him. So we have next Monday, we also have our bid opening for our maintenance paving for 2022. We have our bid opening for our North Ohio Street project and our bike trail project or North Ohio that we received Ohio Public Works funding for a portion of it. And then we received some Clean Ohio Trails Fund portion for the bike trail, a major portion of it. We had our salt barn bid opening today. So we're going to work through those bids and then get that awarded. So that'll be a project that's getting ready to get started. So I had a meeting yesterday on our water main transmission line, the one we've all talked about that we received the fund, partial funding for the $1.4 million for. That project, we're almost designed. We hope to take it to bids in August. The unfortunate part is a lot of the parts are a year out now, and a lot of the parts have substantially went up in cost. So, a project that we were thinking $1 to $2.4 million is probably now more like $3 to $3.2 million, and we'll get a 1.4 in grants, which is big because now it's back to the original price. So it's definitely not all for nothing. It's a very major project. We have to go into the creek. We have to come all the way in 502 from the plant. It's 24-inch pipe, and to put that in perspective, it's not just a throw pipe in the hole. You're talking cranes and excavators, and it's a big deal. We also have to tunnel onto the railroad tracks, which is a big deal. Tonight on your agenda, there's a resolution for that easement to go under. That's another part of it. Right now, we're working with the ODNR to get a permit to cross the creek, because that's another portion. So a lot going on there. There's a lot of utilities. We're estimating it to be probably a 6-month project. In that 6 months, 502 will be shut down and detoured. The plan right now, if ODOT approves it, is to detour them down daily and then back into town that direction, so we can keep them off of all our side streets. And we just don't have a good detour route for that area except to use that daily road area. We're up to 500 customers that have signed up for ACH in the utilities department. So we're getting a few every day. At 6,000 a month, 500 doesn't seem like a lot, but that's 500 that the girls don't have to process, by hand. So it's every little bit helps. I still encourage the public, even if you're not interested in ACH, to do the email, because then we can save on postage, and that's that much more money that we can put into the infrastructure when it comes to that part. And then last but not least, I just want to give a reminder for the public that we offer a lemon brush service for the city of Greenville. So you have to call and schedule an appointment for that with the street department. Their number is 937-548-2215. They pick up on Fridays. Sometimes when they have large lists, that list goes into Monday. But I've gotten a lot of calls recently about just like, hey, my neighbors had some limbs out there for 3 weeks. Like, why haven't you gotten them? Well, you only get 2 pickups a year unless we have a major storm event. So I just think it's an educational thing to kind of tell the public how our service works. And it is a scheduled pickup for the limb pickup. And with that, I will pass. Answer any questions.
All right, moving on, Law Director, Mr. Beaman.
Thank you. Typically in the law field, no news is good news. So we've been staying quiet on that. No litigation or anything to report to council. The one thing I will say about the legislation is last week there was the committee report from the Utilities Committee for the JR Properties LLC to waive the tap-in fees. So that legislation is on the agenda for tonight. So if you remember, they did already pay tap-in fees. This were just additional costs to complete the water loop that we had asked them to do. That was the motivation for waiving those. So just wanted to point that out to you and refresh your memory on that. Otherwise, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
All right, moving on, Auditor, Mrs. Davis.
I pass.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to committee reports. We have two on the agenda. The first one's out of the finance.
To Greenville City Council from the Finance Committee. The Finance Committee met to discuss a request from the Dark County Area Modeler Association for $250 from the community funds. It is our recommendation that we approve the request. Thank you for your consideration. Doug Schmidt, Chairman, Jeff Whitaker, Vice Chairman, and Leon Rogers, Member.
Make a motion to accept the committee report.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to accept the committee report. Discussion. Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Before we move on, then we do have an additional piece of legislation to add with the result of that committee report. So we'll need a motion to add to the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Brown to add to the agenda. Discussion. Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
That will become number 5 then, correct? Okay. The second committee reports out of the utility committee. They have asked for an extension on this assignment till the second meeting in July. So we'll grant that extension.
I have a report.
Oh, that's-
Or is that right?
This is a different one.
Oh,
That's a different one.
I got confused there. Oh, we got the report for this one?
Mhm.
Okay, let me go right ahead.
Greenville City Council, honorable members of council, the Utilities Committee hereby submits our report. The Utilities Committee met on May 12, 2022 and on June 8, 2022 in the council chambers to discuss the water and sewer rates for the Brethren Home at 750 Chestnut Street, Greenville, Ohio, 45331. After discussion of the water and sewer rates, the Brethren Home in November of 2021 installed a master meter with backflow, which eliminated all the 5/8 meters to all the cottages. It was decided upon that the Brethren's Home will be charged for an 8-inch water and an 8-inch sewer rate for the year 2022, and it will be reviewed in 1 year after all increases are in place. Respectfully submitted, Committee on Utilities, Clarence Godwin, Chairman, Chris Norris, Vice Chairman, and Brian Brown, Member.
Accept that report.
Motion by Mr. Whitaker to accept the committee report. Discussion?
Yeah, the reason that we want to keep it that we still have increases in the city. That's still another 20% in September, and I think it's in March or another 10%. And we want to get a reading on what the Brethren's Home is really using and waiting for a year, because they just had a big meter change from that 8-inch that was put in November and eliminated all their 5/8 meters that went to their cottages. So that's why I'm asking for the review in a year. When we do the water rate increase or the review, then we can review that also in 1 year.
All right. Any other discussion? If not, motion to accept the report by Mr. Whitaker. Go ahead and call the roll.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris.
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes. Okay, then the extension portion that I had was the other part of their assignment they had asked for
That was the review and the water rates.
for the yearly review. Okay, yeah, so that will be a second meeting in July.
Yes.
Okay, correct. All right, thank you. Moving on then to ordinances and resolutions. We now have 5 on the agenda. The first one is a supplemental ordinance.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022. The supplemental ordinance allows for an appropriation in the general fund as follows. Office supplies, treasurer's office in the amount of $1,125. These funds are needed to pay the public officials bond for the treasurer.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this ordinance and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, give this ordinance a second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022. An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the city of Greenville, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022.
Adopt the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
All right, next we have a resolution to waive tap-in fees.
A resolution waiving water tap-in fees in the amount of $32,000 and no cents for J&R Properties LLC. This resolution waives the two water tap-in fees in the amount of $16,000 each, totaling $32,000 for classic warehousing owned by J&R Properties LLC at 1050 Progress Street.
We suspend the rules and get this resolution in second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Whitaker to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
A resolution waiving water tap-in fees in the amount of $32,000 and no cents for J&R Properties LLC. A resolution waiving the water tap-in fees in the amount of $32,000 and no cents for J&R Properties LLC.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to adopt the resolution. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, number 3, resolution authorizing safety service director to enter into an agreement.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a license agreement with R.J. Corman Railroad Group. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to enter into a pipeline crossing license agreement with R.J. Corman Railroad Company.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a license agreement with R.J. Corman Railroad Group. A resolution authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a license agreement with R.J. Corman Railroad Group.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Brown to adopt this resolution. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
All right, moving on, resolution authorize safety service director for bids for disposal and removal of lime sludge.
A resolution authorizing accepting the bid for the water treatment plant removal and disposal of lime sludge. This resolution authorizes the Safety Service Director to accept the bid from Harder Agri Services LLC for the water treatment plant removal and disposal of lime sludge.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this resolution and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second and third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing accepting the bid for the water treatment plant removal and disposal of lime sludge. A resolution authorizing accepting the bid for the water treatment plant removal and disposal of lime sludge.
Move to adopt the resolution.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to adopt the resolution. Discussion?
Yeah, Ryan, on that, on all the contract, or all the bids that was put in at I think it was 425,000, I think is what they turned in.
Like 450.
Yeah, and how much was that up from last year? Do you know? Or
Last,
no?
last contract was 225. This one was 450. It was the least.
Yeah, everybody else was 600,000.
632 to 850 was the highest.
Yeah, it was double with one.
So well, we just talked about this back in like 14 or 15, it was 125. And then like 17, 18, it went to 225. And now it's at 450.
And that's a total of all the handling systems, right? Because they were broke down on the list.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes,
for 'em.
yes, for all the sludge fields. So we believe 450, we got the 450 cost because it's a startup, local person, great guy, has great credentials, been in the business a long time, but he's starting it up. So, we're gonna ride that train as long as we can for the 450, but in 3 years with fuel. And so now there's a lot of testing they have to do in the fields to be able to put it in the fields. A lot of farmers don't want it. Now that it's not good for the soil, they just don't want to deal with the APA side of it for the testing. So it's just, Gary and I were just talking about this the other day, like we might be to a point where, because there's different processes you can do where you get rid of that. You don't use that lime sludge anymore. You don't use lime for your process. Now, what's that cost to get away from that is a whole nother ball game, but it might be time, the way prices are going, it might be time to look at switching or what it would take to switch.
Well, it'd be like the sewer plant switching to the UV lights versus
Correct.
the chemicals they were using to use.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Motion before you is to adopt. Call the roll.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Is this resolution number 5? Then this is the one we added the resolution about the community funds.
A resolution authorizing financial assistance in support of the endeavors and pursuits of certain community-based entities. This resolution authorizes financial assistance to the following community-based entities: Dark County Historical Society for $250 and the Dark County Aero Modelers Association for $250.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Rogers to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second, third reading by title only. Discussion? Call the roll.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
A resolution authorizing financial assistance in support of the endeavors and pursuits of certain community-based entities. A resolution authorizing financial assistance in support of the endeavors and pursuits of certain community-based entities.
Let's do adopt.
Motion by Mr. Godwin to adopt the resolution. Discussion? Call the roll.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Ely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Nothing under new business. Nothing under old business. Council representative, the outside committee for the month is Architectural Review Board. That would be you. You have anything to report?
And I gave Jessica a copy of this, so she's
Great.
done it. But since our last report, businesses that have turned in applications to the Architectural Review Board are as follows. One was a mini mall of all. What they're going to be doing is offering tables at this location for vendors. Retail market at 311B South Broadway. The board gave temporary approval as was granted of an inside window fabric banner, which met all the requirements regarding the size. Approval was given through the end of October when we're going to ask them to reapply and see how the things are going with that endeavor. So another request was made by Divinity Spa and Salon. They're at 413 South Broadway. Approval was given for a new canvas awning with the acrylic lettering, and they have some nice LED lighting. With that, all these are going to be a nice improvement to the downtown. Another Sadie Grace at 530 South Broadway. They were given approval for painting the exterior of the building, giving it a fresh look. Gracious Mineral Company, which is a boutique at 324 South Broadway. They were given approval for exterior paint and lettering and signage as well. And they're going to have some window decals with their company logo on there as well. All these were, again, approved by the Architectural Review Board. And there's 947 Creations and Crafts, which is at 523 South Broadway. In Montage Cafe at 527 South Broadway, were granted approval after hearing about both replacing the
exterior hard surface floor at the main entrances of both. They're going to be replacing with a professionally installed chip stone and epoxy commercial grade hard surface. It's going to kind of even out some of the unlevel areas going into their main entrances of both. It's going to look pretty good and be a nice improvement to those two businesses there. And 947 Creations and Crafts also received approval by the board for new signage, which met with all the requirements there as well. So with that, looks like a lot of things are going on downtown Greenville.
Yes,
And,
good news.
we'd like to acknowledge all their efforts and thank them. So we wish them all well. And thank you very much. I pass.
Thank you for your report. Moving on then, communications.
We received the monthly reports of May from the Transit Department, Police Department, and the Fire Department.
Very good. Let's call down the council.
Schmidt?
I just would like to, I know a good bit of the people have left, but just to thank everyone that did come up and speak. It's not always an easy thing to do to get in front of the crowd and get in front of the mic. So those of you that did come up and state your case tonight, I applaud you for that and thank you. And with that, I will pass. Yes, sir.
I'm here to answer any questions anyone may have.
I should have actually had you speak during the public hearing portion, so, yeah, so I'm gonna have to move on.
Whitaker?
I want to thank everybody for coming as well and expressing their views. There's a lot to be taken into consideration regarding this, and I know that an effort is being made to do what's best for the city of Greenville, and we need to hear from everyone in that regard. And I want to thank those who came up and spoke tonight and gave us their views of this. And I know that we're going to do what's best for everybody, and it's going to be some examining here. So with that, I pass.
Brown?
Same thing, thank everybody for coming up, speaking their opinion and some of the people that they've spoke to. I would love to see more people be able to do that. As Doug said, I know it's hard sometimes to get in front of the microphone, but very small amount for the population that we have. A couple questions that I would love to have, and if we get pointed in the right direction to figure out, would be just how many single families do we have, like single person households? Is there a way to figure that out, as well as like the age for some of the households? Like, is there a way, is there somewhere to go for that? I have no idea.
Census.
Checking that. So, okay. But there's certainly a lot to look at there. Pros and cons, as they have all said. So, Jeff, thanks for the update. There's a lot going on downtown. I think that's super good news. And I'm glad you're interested in the Christmas lights, because we want to see more. My kids love driving around and seeing all of those. So my 5-year-old asked me the other day if we could drive by and look at the Christmas lights. Explained to her they're seasonal. Yeah. So congratulations to the future Sergeant Prickett and the new police officer. So with that, I pass.
Ely?
Yes, I too would just want to add my sentiments about people coming forward and presenting their issues about the garbage collection. And I agree with Mr. Whitaker. There's a lot of things to be considered. And I think that even though it's not always a popular thing, sometimes we need to be open-minded enough to explore opportunities that are being presented to us. And, know that we sitting at this board around this table, we too are citizens here, and we want what's best for our city, and we want to be able to be open and to listen to what you said. And so I thank everybody again for coming forward and making that. And I just ask that those people who maybe didn't feel comfortable coming, we all city councilmen have emails. And all you need to do is put your opinion down in a quick email to us and let us know what you're thinking. And sometimes just saying it, writing it, it makes it, we all have ownership of it. So I thank all of you for doing that. So with that, I pass.
Godwin?
Yeah, echo what everybody else said, thanks for everybody coming up tonight and voicing your opinion. The trash thing's I've been on that committee for probably 8 years now. And one of the things that was brought up in that committee was that truck going down the road. The people that don't put a trash bag out there and they got to go buy 5 houses to get to that other dumpster. It still costs that Rumpke the same price to go buy that house. So the person that's got a 65-yard dumpster or 35 or 95 has to pay for going by those people's houses and not picking anything up. So the cost is still there, no matter what. If they have a bag and they only put it out once a month, so Rumpke still has to charge to get that truck going down the road. And I'd like to make a motion to excuse the absences for this month too.
All right, we have a motion to excuse the absences for the month of June. Discussion? Call the roll?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Neely,
Yes,
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
With that, I'll pass.
All right.
Norris,
Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming and giving us their opinion on the garbage situation, the trash. We've done a lot of research behind the scenes over the last couple of months. So a lot of those topics that we've looked at and will continue to do so, but we appreciate the public's input. Like Dolores said, you can go anytime to the website, click on any of our emails. We'd love to hear from you. And Dolores, to you and your husband, happy anniversary today.
thank you.
Spending a little bit of your evening with us.
Thank you.
Flag Day, we appreciate those volunteers that put those flags up a couple of days early and take them down and do a wonderful job, and our traffic circle looks superb again, and we appreciate that. We had a great turnout 2 weeks ago for our softball tournament on the north end, had a total of 46 teams up there. We're going to do it again. So we have our Freedom Festival. We'll be up there July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and we're looking at 48 teams coming in for Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So another busy north end experience there of Greenville. With that, I'll pass.
Rogers,
Yes, with the trash situation, I've always said, ever since I've been on council, that we have to look at what the public is asking, because they're the ones that put us here. They voted us in. Also, we are a employee of the city. So we have to do what's right and balance that. Sometimes it's tough. The way it's written at this point, I disagree with it. And I've expressed that to several people. I think, I have a 95-year-old aunt and a 93-year-old mother. They do not put trash out every week. Granted, I know Clarence mentioned that Rumpke still has to drive by those places. I do know in another location, an elderly lady has their neighbors mow their grass. They can put some trash in her dumpster to help pay for that grass mowing. So, everybody kind of works together. But, as it's written right now, I totally disagree with it. I think it's going to put a real hardship on our elderly people. And with that, I pass.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, one other thing. I had forgot, I was stopped by the cemetery for the lunch. The last week there, Tracy put on for the guys out there. And cemetery looked great. These guys do a great job. And so I just, again, wanted to say thanks for their hard work. And thanks to Tracy for putting that on. So, sorry.
All right. Motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Rogers. Call the roll.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Neely,
Yes.
Godwin,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Rogers.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, everyone.